Hello. Hey, Michael.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? Been
Great.
a
How are you?
long week so far, isn't it? Oh, I'm all
Yes,
right.
sir.
I getting tired of 10, 11-hour days at work, but
Oh man.
I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. I got to buy a new cable, but luckily that's an easier fix than buying whole new headphones.
Yeah.
So here we are again, and what we're here to do today is talk about something that Alex and I both have a deep and personal connection with, and that is, I guess there's no other way to say it. It is quite literally healthy lifestyles. And we're not talking about diet culture. I mean, look at us. I mean, we love bacon too much for that. I mean, come on. I'm a mortal man, for God's sake.
Exactly.
But with that being said, as usual, we're always going to start off with some prayer requests, some special considerations, people we know who are hurting. So, if Alex, if you would, please take it away.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for being consistent with this every week. We're in episode 4, I believe. And I want to thank all the viewers, welcome you to Conversations Over Coffee. So just a moment of silence, and then I'll lead us in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you so very much. And we just thank you for this opportunity to be together, to discuss over delicious coffee. And we just ask for your blessing over our world, our nation, our state, and each individual that's here listening to this broadcast and enjoying this conversation together. Let our souls be lifted through caffeine for the soul. And we just ask for a blessing over a couple from Fort Wayne that lost their baby. Just give them comfort and be with their other 5 kids and lead them through this challenging time. We pray for a blessing over the family of the band teacher from Heritage that passed away, and just thank you for that life that he lived and the impact that he made in other lives. Let us make that same impact in our own unique way while we're here. We love you and we praise you in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
There you go. So, this week we're going to support another local business, and that is none other than United Coffee, run by Tony and his most awesome wife, Morena. And I'm sure if any of you in the Fort Wayne area have been, you'll know how amazing those Liege waffles really are. In fact, they're the only coffee shop in the state of Indiana, or anywhere that I know of for that matter, serving an imported Belgian waffle. And they are quite literally the most scrumptious thing you'll ever have in the form of a pastry. Oh, God, I wish they were open right now. But also, their coffee is European style. It is an imported brand. I'm not even going to attempt to embarrass myself by pronouncing it properly, but let's just say they do it all espresso style. So I learned how to espresso myself by not trying to embarrass myself by claiming I know more than I do. But that being said, they're amazing, they're affordable, they're local, and they're awesome.
Delicious.
So, I've been quarantined too long. So, today's topic, healthy lifestyles. And Alex has given me the spotlight. I think he's a little insecure about this one. He's afraid he'll say the wrong thing, get all emotional. I'm just kidding. He's not embarrassed at all. But I wanted to talk about my life and how I got to where I am today as a man who has been on what you would call disability. Some people know it as SSI. I've been on disability since I was a child, and for a combination of reasons, both mental and neurological. And there was a time in my life I weighed almost 300 pounds. In fact, this was not so long ago. There have been many times in my life I would lose weight, get a little healthier, then I'd get knocked down, and I'd gain it all back. But in 2017, something changed. A dear friend of mine moved away, and that left a void in my life. And around that same time, I was starting to come into my own in a job I had applied for back in December. I had started working part-time as a DJ. Now, I may seem a little aloof at times, but I actually have an excellent voice for presentation, and the energy I brought to the microphone earned me a lot of compliments. And it introduced me to a lot of cool people like my excellent apostle here, Mr. Alex MacDonald. And in the process of that April, it was almost May, I was about to turn 28, and well, I decided I was going to go take a walk. And the difference is, for the first time in a very long time, I decided I was going to start running again. The trouble is, I weighed 270 pounds. And not only that, I was horribly out of shape. I had very much let myself go. And I clocked my first ever mile time that summer at 17 minutes and 58 seconds. I can walk miles faster than that now. That was me running and walking as hard and as fast as I could for as long as I could. That's how long it took me to cover 1 mile around Bixler Lake Park. I was so tired, I was dizzy. I thought I was going to pass out. My feet were blistered, my body hurt, my back was aching, and I still had 2 miles to walk back to my car because I had committed to walking 1 lap. Now, that same summer, I would get a membership at the YMCA with help of my employer. And I want to thank Brian for that. I don't know if he'll ever see this, but he helped me with the startup costs. He gave me a job when nobody else would. And even though he and I aren't as close as we once were, I certainly hope he's doing well. But that summer, with a combination of a job that I felt I could do and positive people in my life like Alex and others, and a discipline to be better to myself, by the end of that summer, when it was starting to cool off, it was October, and the weather was starting to get a little poorer, I was doing the running that I could. Now, mind you, the difference in outdoors and indoor running and a track versus the park, it's different. But on an indoor track, I set a personal best that year of running a mile in 7 minutes and 58 seconds.
Wait, wait.
And in those months,
What?
I went from 270 pounds to 225.
Wow. So you cut that much weight and you cut that much time off your mile.
Yeah. A whole 10 minutes.
Spit that delicious coffee out. Wow.
And it wouldn't have been possible without the positive people that I met, because for the long time I didn't feel I was worthy, and I didn't care about myself like I was worthy, and I didn't really know there were a lot of people out there who cared about my happiness. And because I let those positive people in, and I actually listened to what they had to say, and I actually started to think, why are they saying it? It started to dawn on me that I was more than I gave myself credit for. And before I knew it, I was getting rid of clothes that I used to feel I was a little too large for, because now they were too big. I had a job that was treating me well. And for the first time in my life, I was able to get a couple of things from my house. Honestly, something as simple as better pillows. I'd been living off of hand-me-downs my entire life, and I amassed a small army of down pillows and memory foam from the discount section of Meijer. And I was only making $100 a week, but that was more than I'd ever had, and I was earning it. And because I learned to believe and to do for myself, I went from a person who felt hopeless about everything in life to feeling like I'm going places. And it all started with a walk around the park.
I love it. Just a walk around the park, and it changed everything. But Michael, knowing you as I know you now, I know you to be one of the most dedicated, driven, hard-charging people that I know in my life. So how did just one walk around the park transform you that much? Honestly.
It started from a place of shame. When I was in high school, my first job was training other people. I was teaching other people how to be in shape. I was helping other people get off the couch. I was in charge of $15,000 worth of equipment. My best friend at the time, who was also my employer, gave me an opportunity. It was the best thing. I was already part of a gym. By accounting for equipment, cleaning up, and running classes when he was gone, I got a free membership and a small pay, and I got to help other people. And I was in great shape. I was almost in good enough shape for the Army, or so I thought. I didn't even know I wasn't eligible, but that's not the point. I was in that good a shape. And it's because I was helping people and myself, and that made me feel good. Now, life happens. I got knocked down. And a lot of years went by before I would piece myself together again. But when I took that walk and I realized, I used to be able to run a mile in 6 minutes and 36 seconds when I was in wrestling in high school because I was also in boxing. I hurt my knee that year. I was 285 pounds. Then the next summer with that coaching job, I got down to 218 pounds. So picture that from June 2nd of 2004 to the end of September, eating better and working hard 4 days a week in a gym, I went from 285 pounds to 218. Now that's extreme, but I had good supports. I was young and I was dedicated. Flash forward, 270 pounds again, and I got down to 225. Now, the difference is I have maintained a body weight within 10 pounds of that for 3 years. And I did it because I learned to value myself and the people who care about me. They weren't just giving me compliments. They were telling me they could see the worth in me that I couldn't see for myself. And if it wasn't for people like you, I can only imagine where my life would be today, because you're just one of the few who's been there to rally me onward and to help me learn to stand tall. And that is something I want you all to remember, because my good friend Alex here is actually writing a book. It's going to be published soon, and it's actually called Stand Taller. More on that later. That's for Alex to tell you about. But I'm telling you, the most important thing in life is learning to love yourself and to value the people closest to you, because with that, you can change lives.
Yeah, it's really unique when you grow up with people that are putting you down all the time, and then you start hanging around people that are positive and start seeing the good things in you. You hear them say good things, and at first you don't believe it. You're like, I don't know. But then you hear them say something that you know is true, and you're like, hold on a second. If they said that and that's true, then everything else they said must be true as well. And so it's really interesting how our mind plays tricks on us, but we can outsmart it and we can stand taller. So now something that I probably have to believe is that you have more energy for life. Do you have more energy for life? And with that energy, what do you want to do with it in the long run?
And I'm really thinking about, not only do I have energy for life, but I've been able to help people in ways that I never could before, because I could show them that I could do it. And I can think of a friend of mine who had never had a job in his life. He was almost 30 years old, but he saw the progress that I was making and the changes that had helped me. And he actually asked me for help. And I said to him, you've got a lot of work ahead of you. I've been working on this for years, but if you're really serious about this, I'll help you. Now, that person, long story short, I work with therapists. I'm always trying to better myself. And at the time, I had a support staff. I won't mention names for everybody's privacy, but he came to my home to work with me one day. And this friend of mine, whose name I won't mention out of respect for him, it's his privacy, he stopped by to ask a question, and my support staff only saw him for 2 minutes while he talked to me. And knowing the mental health business like he did, it's his profession, he said to me, I can't believe that young man isn't on disability. He only saw him for 2 minutes. I hate that somebody would look at a person and think that, but I was working with him in the ways that I knew how. Self-care, positive supports, healthy habits. That friend of mine has had a job for 2 years with a craft plant in Kindleville, Indiana. And with his help, he and his girlfriend have managed to buy a next to new vehicle, which previously they didn't have enough money for groceries. Literally, they were hitting up food banks and free church dinners. Now they have a 2017 Jeep. And they are both disability material, because the woman in that relationship used to work. Now she's disabled. That's her private business, but she's got an income. Now, Nick never had a job and couldn't get disability either. That's his private story. But with a little bit of discipline and perseverance and my supports, is because he gives me this credit. I'm not bragging. He said I helped him. That's why I'm talking about it. The fact he's got a job he can handle, and he's been able to put enough money back to allow him and his girlfriend to step up in life. I can only tell you, if I hadn't done for me, I could never have done for them. And knowing that I can see the positive impacts that my changes have helped me bring to other people's lives, there is nothing in life that is more precious to me than knowing that I can help other people simply because I learned to believe in me to such a degree that they could see it too. So, yes, I have more energy and I have more drive, and it's helped me to help other people do the same.
There's nothing that's a better feeling than being able to help somebody else and see their life transform. And it makes me think of a visual of the ripple effect. And so you throw a pebble into the water, and that ripples all the way to the other side of the lake. And you may not know what all can occur, but amazing things are going to happen if you just have courage, you have discipline, and you make some good choices for yourself. And so you don't just have energy to walk around that lake more, but you have energy to do more for others. And that's really inspiring.
And there was a time I couldn't handle somebody calling me to complain about life. And here's a guy saying, I don't know what to do. I can't support myself. I'm living off of my girlfriend, even though she loves me and she doesn't care. And all of a sudden now he's bringing more to the table than ever before. And he's sustained it on his own. And he doesn't have any therapy or support staff. He doesn't have medications to help with his issues. But by taking advice from somebody like me who learned how to rise above and being willing to apply that to his life, he has helped himself rise. Now, that is something everyone should aspire to, because if a professional can look at him and say, I can't believe he's not on disability, but for him not to succumb to the easy way out and to rise up, it goes to show you what you can do if you believe in yourself. You know, I want to speak about something real quick, call it my closing statement about this topic. I've always needed inspiration, and I've looked wherever I could in history to find it. And one of the most inspiring people in all of history to me was I'm going to say this with all due respect, he's a black man in the early 60s who rose to a prominence very few people could ever dream of, given where he started. And if you understand how hard it was to be a person of color in the early 60s, I mean, it's not an easy thing. That man was Smoking Joe Frazier. He grew up on a sharecropper's farm. He was doing adult labor by age 11. He would become a world champion heavyweight boxing icon. He would be the first man to ever defeat Muhammad Ali. He would raise a beautiful family who to this day are carrying on the good work and humanitarian values he instilled in them. And one of those things that I took away from it was, no matter what hand you're dealt, no matter how far down your life can take you, you can rise up if you really want to. Now imagine being a kid who grew up impoverished, surrounded by oppression and struggles and walls and hurdles, and then becoming an Olympic gold medalist and winning a gold medal, even though he concealed from the judges he had broken his left thumb. That's his dominant hand. That's what he's famous for, a tremendous left hook. He won a gold medal with a broken hand. The man simply didn't know the word quit. Now, not everybody needs to be a fighter, but anybody, believe me, anyone can get up a little higher if they believe in themselves and they stand tall. And that's one of the things that kept me going, is knowing there are people who had it worse than me, who climbed higher. Now, I don't have to be them, but I can always climb a little bit higher.
Be your own unique self. I love that. So when I think about this subject, I think about my past when I used to smoke and I used to drink alcohol, and I was parked in front of the television most of the day. And I honestly, I hate running. Like I played soccer in high school. I wrestled in high school. and I had to run with those. But when I became an adult and was no longer in those sports, I just wasn't physically active. And I've always been like small, but I never had the opportunity to get overweight or anything like that. But I still had unhealthy lifestyle, which led to an unhealthy thought process. And so there's many different ways to live healthy lifestyles. And you said that we wouldn't talk about not eating bacon. So I'm so glad we didn't talk about not eating bacon. So everyone can continue to eat bacon, but we want to help you become the best version of yourself. And so I've given up smoking, I've given up drinking, I've given up doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And a part of being in this thing called Fight Club, I've taken into the account of being physical, running every single week, doing push-ups and sit-ups. And so one of the daily habits that we should have is being physically active. And for everyone that's different, you should consult your doctor if you haven't been active in a while. That's what they say, I think, to just to cover our butts. But you should definitely be active in some way. Get your heart rate up in some way, shape, or form. And when you start doing that, it's going to make you so much more effective in every other area of your life. And so when we think about the mental aspect, being physically in shape is going to help improve that. When we think about the spiritual aspect, being physically in shape is going to help that. And so we're a full person, not just a physical body. We're a full person,
That's
not
right.
just a spirit. We're a full person, not just a mind. We're all three of those things. And we should be doing things to improve all of those so that we can be the best version of ourselves. And that's truly what we want for all of you that's going to watch the show.
And I couldn't agree more, but please believe me, we're not asking you to give up bacon.
Yeah, please don't.
But
Cook us some, actually.
that being said, eggplant bacon is no substitute, and turkey bacon is outright offensive.
I just had an idea. So when we are able to have live events, we could have a coffee and bacon gathering. We can all get together, drink really good coffee from all these places, have some really good bacon dishes, and it's going to be awesome. We can just have conversations and hang out and eat bacon.
Oh, you're teasing me now, bro.
So let's all go to our governor and say, stop this quarantine. Let us get back to our life so we can have bacon together.
Yeah, we definitely need community cocktail coffee / bacon hour, minus the cocktails. I'll tell you, like, oh, I'm salivating. But let's move on before I start getting hangry. We always close out the episodes with discussion about a song, and we also have some parting notes, but we'll get to that. I wanted to talk a moment about this particular song, and it is something very relevant to what we're talking about. Now, every one of us has our own idea of what happiness looks like. To Alex, it's probably a nice day at church with his wife, followed by excessive amounts of coffee and a little bit of bacon. For me, it's probably Thai food and bacon and coffee. But as much as we love all the things that we love, everybody defines it different. Some people love the crowd. I'm one of them. Some people love just quiet time. We're not here to tell anybody how to live. We're encouraging people to be social, to be true to themselves, and to remember, just like Joe Frazier said, son, there's no right way to do wrong, but there's no wrong way to do right. And when he said that to his son Marvis is another inspiration in himself. He wanted to bring the heavyweight championship back to the Frazier family. He would even have a fight with none other than Larry Holmes, one of the greatest champions in history. Now, mind you, that's a tremendous thing right there. And he was getting clobbered. He lost. He was ashamed. But you know what his father Joe did? He came up and he hugged him, big smile on his face, and he said, I'm so proud of you. He says, but Dad, I lost. I got knocked down. And he said, son, everybody gets knocked down, but you got back up. Hell, I've been knocked down a time or two. And that is the lesson and the legacy of Joe Frazier. No matter how many times you get knocked down, you can always get back up. And if you can instill that within yourself, no matter how many times you get knocked down. Just like Les Brown said, if you get knocked down, lay on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. That is one of the greatest stories of all time. We talked about that. A man literally born on a hard linoleum floor in an abandoned building is now 75 years old, multi-millionaire. He's worked for Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, the MacDonald's Corporation. He is the greatest motivator in the entire world, according to Toastmasters. Another example, getting up.
But they said he was retarded, but he's the greatest communicator ever now.
I mean, that is actually true. He was diagnosed educable, mentally retarded.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's been changing lives for the better for over 4 decades. Never stop believing in yourself. And just like he also said, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Now, these aren't my quotes. I'm just paying it forward. This is greatness that started from ashes. We can all do the same in our own way, in the way that it makes sense to us. And with that, we're going to play the song as we fade out. But I want to talk about that song. It's called My Way. Now, this was originally a song made famous by singers like Frank Sinatra. This is not a song written by the man I mentioned earlier, Mr. Joe Frazier. But keep in mind, as much as he was a poorly educated, working-class black man from the South who had to overcome tremendous hurdles, he was no Frank Sinatra. But I'll tell you, he traveled with his own band called the Knockouts because he loved music, he loved to sing, and he loved making people smile. And that song exemplifies his life like no other. And with that, I want to read a couple of words from that song before we finish. This is the part that makes me think of Joe Frazier. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, that I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and I did it my way. That is the song that Joe Frazier loved to sing until the day he died. And if you can understand what he's trying to say, hey, there's no right way to do wrong, but there's no wrong way to do right. To thy own self be true. You can do it. So can I. Alex, do you have any parting words, buddy? Anything you want to mention? Anything I forgot?
I don't think you forgot anything. This was another great episode of Conversations Over Coffee, and I think you did excellent. I love having conversations with you. I love coffee. Oh, one thing, my idea day would be on the beach with my family and my friends with some good music. And so next week we'll be talking about discipline or successful living. And so do things your way, but make sure your way is a way that is going to lead you to the results you want. And so, like I said, I love listening to music, so I can't wait to hear this song together.
Well, you can find that on YouTube, and that's an excellent recording. Still got the old little vinyl record scratches in it. Song of the Week, My Way by Joe Frazier. Knockout Records. That's what I'm talking about. You can tell this is a classic. Get ready for it.
Now, the time is near. The time is here. To check my hopes and prepare to take the dare. It's time to climb right through them ropes and face a man who has a plan and states that.
See what I mean?
Not in a shy
There's
way.
no
Well,
quit, Joe
right.
Frazier.
But come the fight, I'll fight him my way. I've come a long, long ways, and like they say, it took some doing. I played the boxer's role to reach the goal we all pursue. And friends I fought like I was taught, and never alone. A sly way, I fought them fair, I fought them square, I fought them my way. Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew.
You can hear it in his voice. He believed every word.
But through it all, when there were doubts, I never once reneged about. I faced them all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I lived, I laughed and cried.
Every time I hear this, I get a little emotional just thinking about Joe standing there with his big bulging biceps, holding the microphone,
and when I think
touring the Mediterranean on a private yacht.
I'm frank to
And to
say,
think he was just a working class man from nowhere who overcame mountains and valleys to get to where he was. But he earned it all. And he did it his way.
For what is a man?
Yep.
For what has he got? If not himself, not such a lot. He got to be a devil still. He got to stand, Lord never kneel. The record showed I took the blow and did it my way.
I'm telling you. And just to think, in the movie Rocky, Joe Frazier does a cameo in that movie for free because they couldn't afford to pay him. And there's a moment he stands up and his hands are like this when he's waving. And you know why? He was so arthritic and he had been punching and fighting for so long, he could no longer open his hands completely. So that was how he waved to the crowd. And if you look closely, that's what his hands look like. And towards the end of his career, he needed cortisone shots just to be able to use his shoulders and joints completely. That's how hard the men worked. That's what he worked against. And literally at the age of 40, he had his final match against a guy far younger, far better shape, faster, stronger than he was at that point in life, and he fought him to a draw. Keep that in mind. He did it his way. Alex, I really enjoyed this episode, man. I think it's one of our best yet. I think we're finding that this is helping you and me just as much as it is the people watching. I really look forward to hearing what you have to say next week about discipline for successful living. And really, it's been a pleasure. Any parting words you have?
Can't think of any. I can't wait to see everyone next Thursday as we discuss this topic and have more conversations over coffee.
Well, let's bid farewell to my most excellent apostle, the one and only Alex MacDonald. Thanks a lot, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.